Thank you, my relatives. Today we're going to talk about language, learning language through feasts. And we all know we love to have feasts. So what I'm going to do is talk about the times we have our feasts. You know, there's actually, we even have songs for feasts. So today what I want to talk about is Kikuwosson, Mother Earth. What foods does Mother Earth provide for us? I hope everybody has tasted massozil. Those are our beautiful fiddleheads. We still pick them, and we don't have as many as we used 2 years ago because of the, the pollution and acid rain and a lot of other environmental hazards that are affecting our fiddleheads today. But massos is one fiddlehead. Massozil is a bunch of fiddleheads. The next one I wanted to talk about is Kikuwosson. Those are our strawberries. And if you can pronounce Kikuwosson, you can pronounce anything in Maliseet. I'll tell you why. In English, you never have consonant clusters, it's called in linguistics, where you have 3 or 4 consonants together that are put in front of the word. Most consonant clusters in English are at the end of the word. But for us in Maliseet, they're at the beginning, so it's Kikuwosson. And that literally means the berry that grows in the grass. Skik is the word for grass, and mint is the word for berry. So it's strawberry. Minsus is raspberry. Minsusuk is the plural for raspberries. Zot is a blueberry. Zotiek are blueberries. Jigan is an apple. Jigniik is our apples. The next ones that we look forward to in the autumn is Gikanale, or even in the summer, is our garden. Gikanale are foods from our gardens. Wizawapsit is 1 carrot. Wizawapsijig means the carrot family. Makwapsit is beet. Makwapsijig is the family of beets. And just so you know, both of them have something to do with the color. So weasel is yellowish, and makwe is reddish, so it's a red vegetable. And of course, guac means the shape of it. Wenotweepen is a turnip. It literally means a white man's onion. Because of the time when trading came, we didn't have turnips, so turnips was one of the trade items that was brought. So it kind of looks like an onion, and so when the elders must have looked at it and says, do you have any of those, white man onions? Wenotweepen and Wenotweepnet. To this day, we still call turnip Wenotweepen for one and Wenotweepnet for more than one. Of course, we have peas. Wenotweemin is 1 pea, and Wenotweemina. Again, must have been a trade item because it has the wenot in there, so it must have been something that we didn't have all along but have now. More from the garden is Bieskamen. Bieskamen is ear of corn. And Bies means hair. And we have stories of how the three sisters, had, one of the things is where the corn maiden was said, "Take me by my hair and spread me on the earth, and your people will always have something to eat." And that's where we get our bieskamen, which is our corn on the cob. Psappen is onion. Psapnud is more than one onion. Bajades is one potato. Bajadazzle is more than one potato. Cucumber is esquidazus, and more than one is esquidazuskil. Hungry? To do? Okay, we're going into what the four-leggeds offer us. Newi-guadited are the four-leggeds. Literally means four-leggeds. Newi-guadited. And these are the ones that are most traditional to us. Muze, moose meat. Muze. Adoke is deer meat or venison. Gohuzwe is more recent, which is beef or cow. Bikse is pork. And there's actually songs about when pork was a trade item. And so we use pork, so if you're going to call bacon is bikse, salt pork is bikse, and pork chops are bikse. Zipsizak, which winged ones feed us? Nem is turkey. And this was a question posed not that long ago, whether turkey was traditional for us. I believe that it was traditional in our territory because we have a word that's not anglicized, because sometimes that's how you can tell. When new words are brought into our language, then we have, then it would be anglicized. Nem is turkey, ehem is chicken, Medahasam is duck. Majias is partridge. I'll go over them once again. Nem, turkey. Eham, chicken. Medahasam, duck. Majias, partridge. Now the ones who live in the water also feed us. Namaswuk, fish. These are the ones that are most traditional. Polam, salmon. Polam, sculptum, trout. Sculptum, nokmek, cod. Nokmek, cod. Zug is lobster. Sometimes people say zug, but it's zug is lobster. I have what I call woolly bokgil, those sweet things that we eat. Bai is a pie. And if you were to say strawberry pie, then you would just take the word strawberry. Ski means say, bai is apple pie. Jigane, bai is blueberry pie. Bizatie, bai is Zulaban is a cake, and it literally means Zulgul is sugar and aban is bread, so it's like a sugar bread is what it literally means. Zugulaban, but it tastes sweeter than bread. Dekchigek is ice cream. Dekchigek, and what it describes is it's a frozen lump. You know, dekjigek is something that's frozen. Bubuiz is candy. Bubuizek are candies. And that word comes from maple sugar time. When our candies, when we were growing up, and I was a child, our candy was when maple sugar season was here, and of course it was frozen, and those were the candy, and it's real sticky, so that's where the word bubu comes from. It means sticky. So bubuiz is a sweet candy that's sticky. Things that you would use to set your table. Duwipud is your table, and things that you place on your table when you're setting your table, preparing for your meal. Salawe is your salt. Salawe. Dakpizawe is pepper, and that word actually comes from the French version, the French word for spice, des is. And it must have been a trade item again when they were saying, you give me your gilbus and I'll give you some spice, you know, which was pepper. And so we traded our muskrat for possibly pepper, dak pizawe. So that's an imported word because it comes from the French word des is. Mulak sieben is butter. Mulak sieben. And as you know, butter is made from cream, and mulaks is milk. So mulak sieben, and sieben is that it's spreadable. Mulak sieben, so it's buttery spread. A bun is bread, and we do have lagalet as another word, which is also an import. It comes from the French word la gâteau, and it was like a small cake. So when we make our lagalet, which is our fry bread, sometimes they're shaped like little cakes, or big round cake, or sometimes put into the oven as well. But it's still a bun, but lagalet is the fry bread. It's very important that you are careful in pronouncing this next word. Gastunnuhuzut. Gastunnuhuzut. It literally means something you wipe your mouth with. Gastun. Wipe your mouth. Huzut is a napkin. The reason I warn you, if you're learning and you accidentally say Gus huzut, you're going to end up asking for toilet paper at your table. So just to tell you the beautiful humor in our language, and so you want to make sure that's why I say in your listening skills, watch the lips when they're pronouncing words. So gastunnuhuzut is your napkin. Fork, mitsudie. It literally means something you eat with. Mitsudie. Mikodanis is your knife. Mikodanis is something you cut with. Ampwan is a spoon. Ampwansis is a teaspoon. Ampwansis. Wallet is a plate. Duasmut is something you actually drink with, a glass or I think of it as a glass, but sometimes people will just say, Million duasmut, give me that, could be a cup. But we do have a word for cup that's been anglicized. We say gupsis, but the duasmut would have been the original one to use. Now, when you're learning how to read and write, and people will always, like I always taught my students in grade kindergarten, I would always teach them the longest word in our language, which is Aptelmutineweo. That means rice. And there's different versions of where the word originates. In French, it's R-I-Z, riz, but the verb for to laugh in French is rire, and so it has something to do with laughing. And there's a part in here that says it's something that makes you smile or makes you laugh. But another one is that it doubles in quantity. You know, when you use 1 cup, you get more. So there's different versions of where Updel Muntineweo comes from. But once you can say that, you can say anything as well. Same thing with Skiquimins, which is hard because of the consonant clusters. In this one, it's about 15 letters, Updel Muntineweo. Not that long ago, one of my elders was crossing the border, and the border officer happened to be Mausi. And of course, in being Mausi, they spoke to each other in the language, and the custom officer goes, what are you bringing across today? And of course, the elder goes, and of course, the young man repeated it. What's that? And he goes, potato chips. Bejedesweo means something potatoey. Biaktehignasizel means a long time ago when we were cutting wood and we get these wood chips. And so what the elder did is he come up with this way of saying potato chips. And so it just tells us that our language isn't stagnant. We can add to our language. So this is one of those words that you can add to your vocabulary now. So when you go for those potato chips, you can say Bejedesweo, Biaktehignasizel, literally meaning potato chips, because we do that to a potato. We slice it up, we cut it up just like wood would have been cut up, so we get chips from that. Wikbalastigen, ham. Everybody loves that, you know, Wikbalastigen, ham. And there's our Lagalet and Labuji. Labuji is like a potato soup. And it's the sliced potatoes with onions, salt, pork, and just a little bit of water. Very, very delicious. Sometimes people will put dumplings in it as well. So it's important to know that we're talking about food for feasts. It's also important to remember how to say our meal times, because when I was learning English, I always got in trouble because I never knew the difference between when dinner was. Some people will have dinner when it's midday. Some people will have dinner at 8. So it was always confusing. But in our language, it's not like that, because it tells us when those meals are, because according to breakfast, for example, is spazi bultin. Spazi bultin. The word spaz is the root word for morning. So it's your morning meal. So you would say, I am having my breakfast. Spazi. If you're asking somebody if they've had breakfast, kizi spazi. If you're asking if that nagam or that third person is having breakfast, kizi spazi po nagam. Now we go to our midday meal. Basquihi. Basquihi boltin literally means midday meal. Because the sun is halfway in the sky, so it's your time when you have your midday meal. Basquihi boltin. And the same thing, if you're asking, if you're telling somebody you're having your lunch, you say, Didli basquihi. You're asking someone if they've had their lunch yet or midday meal. Kizibasquihi. Or you would also ask them to Gizibasquihi po nagam. And of course, the evening meal. Wolagwi, our word for evening is wolagwi, is dusk. So that's when your evening meal is. Wolagwi boltin, wolagwi boltin, diddly wolagwi, kizi wolagwi bunagam. And it's always when you're talking about food, especially if you're cooking, you want to know if people like your cooking. So one of the things to know how to say about cooking is Quigotman means do you like the taste of it? Quigotman. And of course, you're going to compliment the cook, and you want to be complimented as a cook. When people say, "Wuli bogut," it is tasty. "Wuli bukso," when it's something animate, like an apple. "Wuli bukso." Okay. "Wuli bogut" would apply to your meal. Say somebody forgot to add enough salt, and you're going to say, "Miji bogut," not so tasty. "Miji bogut." Or "Miji bukso," say the apple was soft and you didn't like it, and you would say "Miji bukso," jigen. Okay. When it's bitter, there's not enough spices. Say somebody didn't have the right spices to make their spaghetti sauce. You would say "Bekwazi bogut." It doesn't have enough flavors. No, it's too bland, I think is the English word for it. "Bekwazi bukso" is bland, something animate. When you're biting into a lemon, you would say "Zoa bogut." It's sour. "Zoa bogut." Too much salt. "Zalawe bogut." Too much salt. "Zalawe bogut." And if somebody made it too sweet, you could say "Makwani bogut." "Makwani bogut." And again, that makwan comes from the word maple syrup. So makwan is sugary. "Makwani bogut," just like "Zubli bogut," but we say, I think Pastor Fox would say "Zubli bogut," but we say "Makwani bogut." It's too sweet. Of course, you want to know what to drink and how to ask for your drinks. Kikuwosson, are you thirsty? Kikuwosson. These are the things we drink. Kafe, anglicized coffee. Bedewe, which literally comes from the word spot of tea. So very British, bedewe. And then of course we say di. Goa the book is spruce beer, because that's how they made their beer originally. They made bumblebee beer, Way. Goa the book is from spruce trees, so they made their own beer. Batolia's way is how we say wine, because as you know, wine is served during Mass. And so if you want red wine, you would say Mekwe Batolia's way. If you want white wine, you say Wabeye Batolia's way. And of course, our favorite, Zamagwan. So those are just some. There's lots more, but those are just some for us to begin with. But always remember to give gratitude for your meal. This is what I taught 4-year-olds to say after their meals. Imia wagan, Wuliwan, Chilmichawagan, Kikuwosson. Thank you, Mother Earth, for my food. Wuliwan, Chilmudakwit. Thank you for the cup. Wuliwan, Chilbenkistok. And thank you for today. So that's what 4-year-olds will say after a meal. Adults will go a little bit further. Imia wagan, Gomaj gadget visit, Wuliwan Chilyudmijwagan. Creator, thank you for this wonderful food. Nabal wujok gavid gidigik mausui no. I hope you help other people. Wulam skarali gadoko so that they will never go hungry. Chili was easy, especially children. Wujok gammon will masasen munyap silke ayo deep. Help them so that they will always share all that they have. Wulam naskar wablektonia suodegeb skitskame. Help them so that they will always respect and not abuse the gifts we get from Mother Earth. Middle age. Wuliwan Najib, go and have a wonderful meal.